everybody. Raul here for Bass Musician Magazine, and today we have the extraordinary honor and pleasure of catching up with the one, the only, the very mighty Stu Hamm. Yay!
What's up, man? How are you?
Oh, doing great, Stu. Doing great. So good to see you again. For those of you that have been paying attention, we have been in touch with Stu for the last more than a decade. You know, whether it was standing in line at Starbucks at the NAMM show, or in Portland, or at multiple places wherever we could find him, and many opportunities to update with Stu. It's been a minute since we talked. I think the last time was kind of actually not that long ago, but now there's exciting news. You have a new album out, so we could definitely dive right into that. Talk to us about your new album.
Well, at first I want to say we just spent a little while, catching up, and I'm sorry you're not still in Portland because I just found out today that, I'm going on tour with Greg Howe, and I've got my drummer Joel Taylor on it, so the rhythm section is going to be great. And when we're in Portland, we're playing the Aladdin Theater, and Jennifer Batten's opening up for us. I just found that out today, so
nice.
That's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, man, all is good. Yes, I have a new record out, and it is, I got the physical copies yesterday. It's so exciting. By some incredible coincidence, the name of the album are the same words that are tattooed on my fingers.
Hold fast.
Hold fast. So I'm very excited. I ran an Indiegogo campaign to raise some funds, and I did very well. So I got, really went all out in being able to hire the best musicians and producers. Javier Reyes from Animals as Leaders was my partner in crime for mixing and co-producing musically and sonically. And if you're going to do physical copies, which the only people, people of our age and our selective audience are still willing to support me by, especially at the shows, buy one. But
yeah.
So, and I talked to Alex Skolnick, who's on the record, finally got Skolnick on the record. We went in the studio twice. And he told me that in metal, it's really important about the packaging, right? So we went all out. So I have a great graphic designer photographer, Tava Martinez. She's a design, so it's beautiful little fold-out wallet, all the info on one side. It's a beautiful. Oh, look at those fingers.
Oh, there you go.
And for the full, then, if you pick out the other sleeve, you've got. Look at that, a big poster.
Oh, wow.
And put it on your wall to motivate you to practice. Remember, kids, don't take your bass out into the sea unless you take the 9-volt batteries out first. Having a nice collage of all the people on the record, including my cat, which he's playing keyboards there. Cat. He's got his beanie on. He's doing some keyboard overdubs. So, just to make it fun and little stories about the music and all that thing. It's actually on July 20th. It's available in all the streaming outlets, and at any time that you want, you can go directly to stuhamm.com, order a download directly from me for a few more shekels, but then you get access to the digital booklet, or you can order signed copies, regular copies, blah, blah, blah. And it's great music. Do you want to say a word, or should I just...
Oh, no, you're doing great. But what I will say is that I've listened to, as I continue to listen to your albums, album after album, one of the brilliant things about them is that I never know what to expect, and it's always good. So again, it's kind of like when you go to a restaurant and you go, I'm not ordering off the menu. Tell the chef, surprise me, bring me what you think I should have tonight, and it's a brilliant meal. And so starting with in my interpretation, and correct me if I'm wrong, the maritime theme with Hold Fast. I mean, the anchor and the pea coat should be a giveaway. This is a seafaring kind of thing. So, but I wasn't sure whether it was going to be a collection of shanties or what. And
pretty good. That's pretty good. It should have been, actually.
Well, it would have been fitting.
Right.
However, the immersion, you've got 8 tracks, I believe, and each one of them incredibly unique, and the commonality is the depth and the richness of the bass in the mix and what you've been playing. is as profound as the waters of the ocean, my friend. It just goes from the very beginning, like the first track. I mean, I've always been a believer that you want to hit hard and fast to begin with, because you lose people's interest if you say, oh, wait till I get to track 4 before the real good stuff shows up. Track 1, it's just this incredibly rich, soothing bass sound, and I'm kind of like, oh man, it's just all enveloping, and it's doesn't miss a beat. But then again, now there's Skolnick. I hear these other musicians. There's some vocals. You even brought Bubby over to sit in a couple of tracks. I mean,
I have Bubby on your album.
Oh my gosh. So tell us, in my interpretation of this maritime thing, tell us about the inspiration behind Hold Fast, in addition to the fact that it's got, your hand. What better title, no?
Let's see. Hold Fast came from, of course, we were talking about the pandemic and the lockdown and the challenges everyone faced. That here in California, I think it was like in kind of like August, things opened up again for like 6 weeks. They tried it, didn't work, and in that brief period of time, I was like, I was like everyone else, lost at sea, floundering, taking on water, trying to stay afloat, waiting for the wave to hit the top of the wave. And so I went down to I found the jankiest little tattoo parlor in San Fernando I could find, and got this dude, Go Shine, to give me legitimate Long Beach gang tats of Hold Fast, to remind myself that, man, when things get hard, and they will get hard, because even when times are good, Mike Tyson's right around the corner, he's waiting for you. So just tighten up the hat, tighten down the hat, batten down the hatches, tighten up, hold fast, and then just write it out. Mm-hmm. Right? So, and I had some songs I've been working on, had the opportunity to go to Sweetwater to do a recording session, and I never recorded Alex and Joel, my A road band. So we went in there and we recorded a couple songs that we did a version of Happy Birthday Brian May, by the way. Mm-hmm. We Will Rock You, that we've been playing live for a long time. No Click, Just Let It Go. And then when I started writing this record, I just had a lot more rock riffs and ideas, and had been listening to, pretending I was 18 years old and putting on, Yes Songs live, and listening to UK and ELP and all the King Crimson I could listen to. So I said, well, let's do a prog rock record. And then it all came together because I had met Randy McStein playing guitar with Jane Getter's band. Jane Getter's a guitar player. Her husband's Alan Holtzman. And Randy also is a wonderful singer. He did a stint in the Stu Hamm band. And I said, well, you know what, I'm gonna get him to sing on it, because he's sort of rising. Well, he is rising in the prog rock world, playing guitar now toward Porcupine Tree now. And as you know, when you're writing melodies as a bass player, I love my melodies, right? And I hope the songs just work for themselves, not as just a showcase for musicianship. Mm-hmm. So, but as you're writing, what are you going to have play the melody, right? Because if it's a rock song, I got to pretty much lay it down.
Yeah.
And if, like 2 or 3 bass parts becomes, okay, I've done that. I've done, So do I have the guitar play the melody? Okay, then that's going to be derivative of, Bach or Satriani kind of guitar-oriented music. Or do I play piccolo bass? Well, let a singer sing it. It's a different sonic thing, right? Mm-hmm. Just for the songs. There's songs where I want to tap and slap, and there's songs where I just got to friggin', especially in this prog rock record, just groove it out with Garrigo, who played on half the record, or Joel. So, and once I had the idea to do sort of a prog rock record, and knew the musicians I was going to use, who I don't have to tell what to do. Because I know these musicians and what they're good at. Like the song Tales of My Midwestern Youth, I pretty much wrote, because when we do Going to California live with Joel, sometimes the space ECM jazz solo section goes to like a country backbeat, who plays this Oklahoma thing with hi-hat that I've never heard anyone else do, and I said, I want to do a song that features that. Yeah. And then it became then it's like Star Castle, Head East, Midwestern art prog rock, from the late 70s, 80s. And so we went to the studio, recorded it, and just called up some friends. Michael Lee Perkins came in and provided slide for that. Bubby added some just wonderful stuff. And just as usual, with technology, you can abuse it, but you also have to be creative with it. And it's, experimenting in the studio. Things will just come up. Like, say you hit the wrong button for a plugin, and that sounds cool.
Yeah.
I don't plan it, but let's just use that. Okay.
Yeah.
Right? And usually the mistakes or the things that you don't expect to happen are the good parts. 'Cause I wanted to feel like live, like music. So, and Javier was great. Javier Reyes from, except I don't know why I picked a guy who's in a band without a bass player to mix a bass record.
Yeah.
So he definitely had a few knockout, drag out fights, but he brought a whole sonic thing to it, man, and just the sound. And yeah, I'm just super happy with it, man. Everyone played great, and it sounds good. I've been putting it back to back with some of the old, even like UK Danger Money, and that was a lot of low end on this record.
Yeah.
It's beefy. It's full sounding record.
Definitely.
So I'm happy with the compositions. I'm somewhat happy with a portion of my performance on it. And at a certain point, you just have to let it go. And it's an enjoyable listen from start to finish.
Wow. Well, and what I will say again, 7 of the 8 tunes are your composition, and the Brian May piece was a very unexpected taking it to reggae, which I'm kind of going, okay. It was a double take for me because I recognized the title, and then I started listening going, wait a second. Did I get that right? Like, oh no, that is... And it got there, and then I'm like, okay, we will rock you. I'm getting it, but it took its time. It had to saunter its way up there, and I understand in the creative process, you always go, I could do this a little better. It's hard to say when it is actually done, but from the receiving end, I'm none the wiser, and I was just going, oh my gosh, here's Stu. There's no polkas. I'm not disappointed, but I'm just like, okay, tune after tune, and each one does tell a story, and each one does take you. So the Midwestern one, I totally felt the Midwestern and going, okay, well, yeah, there's that, and it's just again, I can't say enough. And I think it's the kind of album that it's not just for us bass fiends that all we want to do is hear bass. Because again, we do hear a lot of people that will do an album and it's kind of like, look what I can do. This is one that anybody and everybody can listen to and get into it and go, the distinction is that the bass in the mix is, again, so rich and so vibrant and so clear.
I had to fight for that. I always thought, like, if I ever grew up, made my own records, I could put the bass anywhere I want, and I still have to just fight to actually hear the bass in the mix. Anyway.
And I talked to somebody that was saying back in the day that there was a physical reason for dialing back the bass when they were doing vinyl. And it was because if you had too much bass, it would actually make the needle jump off the record.
Right.
It would make it hop. And so you had to have a certain decibel level that would keep it from skipping and make it an unhearable album. And you go, okay, well, maybe back in the day, but now with the digital, with CDs and all this stuff, there's no needle to skip. There's no concern there. So let's dive into the depths, not limit ourselves. And again, I'm so glad you had that creative control over that portion of it, because it allows us to be enveloped by your sound, which...
It's hard, though. I mean, you get to the point in mixing where you have to let it go, where I can literally hear half a dB. And, when we went to the studio, Joel and I and Alex have been playing that We Will Rock You live forever. So, again, no click track, set up the mic, we just played it. And there's like a breakdown that we never play. Something happened when recording that, and we just looked at each other and made something happen. Same thing happened when the song Hold Fast that I wrote for that section. The guys read it down. It was great. And then there's a section you can hear where it breaks down. That's because we were all lost. What happens next? Does it go back to the melody? But you listen back, it's a nice little breakdown.
Yeah.
So then in Hold Fast, okay, it goes to this almost Jocko Latin line. And, it's a question of how if you get it too heavy, it does distract from the melody.
Yeah.
But, I really wanted it to drive, And there's also the drum mix. You can hear, every single thing that the drummer's doing. And hopefully the songs speak for themselves. Listen to a internet radio show called The Hearts of Space. Have you ever heard that with Stephen Hill? And slow music for fast times and mostly instrumental experimental music. But he once said that, if the point of the music is the musicianship or technical prowess of the musicians, then it's not very relatable. So that's so that's what I'm trying to avoid. Mixed with, I do feel a little bit of maybe pressure. If someone's going to buy the record, they're going to sort of want to expect to hear a couple new tricky bass things. Go, how do I?
Yeah.
I feel a little pressure to that. So it's marrying them all, but it sounds great sonically. I'm so happy with the packaging and just being able to get, like I said, Bubby on it and know so many good musicians that I said, like, I rarely have to give them. I can say, okay, I want this to sound like a Wichita lineman, played by Astor Piazzolla. And Joel would go, oh, okay.
Yeah.
They have that kind of musical knowledge.
Yeah, absolutely. And since we're speaking about your sound, tell us a little bit about the gear you used and how you're getting this amazingly deep, rich bass sound.
Man. I mean...
Yes.
Obviously, I've been using GHS strings forever. And people send me other strings, I try them, they're nice. But I've been playing GHS longer than the current president of the company when his dad ran the company.
Oh, wow.
And EMGs. I had my first pair of active EMGs put in my bass at Wurlitzer's in Boston in 1980, right? And so I know how to make those work. And again, it's again the constant fight. And there are a lot of things in the world that I don't know about. I know about some literature, I know about Gene Wolfe and Philip Dick and collecting first editions. And I also know about how I get my sound. So I walk in the studio and the guy's got, one of those red PI boxes and a bunch of compression on. I'm like, we need to have a little talk here. All that does is take the sound away from me, right? Of course, if I'm recording a pop tune, we talk about frequencies of bass, where the bass is going to be sort of down here, muffled with a pick through an SVT. That's one thing. But my sound is sort of here, direct, clear, but with low end, which is why the bass amps work for me, right? Not too tinny, not too, distinction, but sounding like a bass, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I do come from a rock world. So, I mean, the long way to say that about 95% of it is DI. And then, of course, we have closed mics, we have room mics, and, I love mic companies, I love amp companies, and in the recording studio, I use them as needed because I just find that when I do, they, in some songs, again, when I'm grooving, but I kind of know how to move my hands around to get the sound I want.
Gotcha.
And that's, I don't know, it's tough. I went to the studio with Chad Wackerman and Toshi Yanagi, and we recorded 3 songs live. And again, it was for a mic company, Roswell Mics. And I had to sit down with the engineer and the president and Matt, from Roswell, and said, man, I love your mics. And I use them when I'm recording, other people, stuff like that. But it's just got to be at least 90% DI.
Yeah.
That's it. I do bring my cabinet, my 212 front bass cabinet, and my head is generally, depending on the song, either the solid state side, usually Class D. Sometimes I'll dial in a little of the tubes for warmth. But I've tried it, man. I've tried, old vintage B12s with the mic in the bathroom, and it's cool. It's just not my sound.
Gotcha. Well, and of course, we can't help but notice the trusty Warwick headstock behind you. Was that the one with the Captain America shield on it, or one of the other ones?
I use mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Banner. I call it Banner because it used to have Hulk stickers in the back. Yeah, this bass is just, God, it's so wonderful. It really is. It's a prototype of the Stu basses, and it's pretty much my go-to. It finally, when we had the design for the Warwick for the Stu basses, they built me a couple, and there was so much paint and paint jobs and designs on them that it kind of killed it, because at a certain point it is strings vibrating off a piece of wood.
Yeah.
The pickup can hopefully amplify, right? So I finally got this one, which was just the same sort of clear, sheen on it.
Oh, wow.
That's in the Stu body, which is, since those are prototypes, you can see it's pretty interesting. I think what they did, because some wore extra neck divers, the metal ones, right?
Yes.
So I wanted one more balanced. So I think what they did was they took a 5-string streamer body and put it on a 4-string bass. But the downside was the horn goes to the 14th fret.
It does.
Every bass in the universe goes to the 12th. So I got this bass and I took it to a session, and the engineer goes, "Okay, bass player, you're doubling the melody. Let's go 3, 4." And he goes, "Wait, bass player, we're in the key of F." I go, "Yeah, F." Let's try it again. "Oh, wait, F." I was 2 frets off. So that's the bass I use mostly on it. I also have the red one. This one it's really good. It's going to be good. I'm still beating it up. I've had a lot of work with that. I used my piccolo, Larry, my original Urge.
Oh, nice.
That I have on this piccolo bass to double the bass on when this is over. And that was it. I didn't use this on some overdubs. I've been playing a lot of like the 5-string jig wall in the studio for my sort of non-Stu Hamm recording situations, because, man, the idea, that 37-inch B string is just monstrous. I just love the concept of long, like a harp or piano, with the lower string should be longer. So I've got that, and I'm playing around with a bunch of stuff. I got but those, again, the red one and the green one were the main basses.
Gotcha. Well, again, the sound definitely carries through, and it's that whole chain that when you've got, again, hands, strings, wood, it is certainly shined right through.
We did have the opportunity, since the bass in, it's difficult because in like Tales of Midwestern Youth, it starts out with, sort of a chordal thing on the bass, and then it just comes back to, dotted quarter 8, boom, boom, boom for the country solo.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do you not make that sound like 2 completely different basses, right? So, and again, it's the fingers, but in that song, we could then, when it comes to that section, blend in a little more of the tab sound, and just working with Javier, who's younger, right, and who has definite opinions and ideas of his own. It was nice to have a different take, a producer, to add some things. I've done my last 6 records with my buddy James Boblik up in the Bay, so we know exactly how to work together. But then after a while, the records start to sound the same. So it was really nice. I'm really happy with a lot of the mixes. That song, I think, one of the really fine executions is Flotsam and Jetsam.
Yes.
Where Alex just played wonderfully, and had Steve Ferlazzo, a local guy here in LA, put the total Eddie Joseph, Rick Wakeman keys on it, and just so happy with the way that, when you hear songs in your head, and then I have an idea, and then the box arrives, and there it is.
Yes.
I did that. It went from here to here, And again, I'm fortunate to know so many great musicians. I know that Alex is going to nail that box section solo in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And that Garrigo's the guy to display that rock kind of beat.
Very cool. And as we look ahead, Stu, what's in the works? I know the album has been released and people can get it in the format that they so choose, but you're heading out into the road, I understand? Yep.
As we record this, I believe it is Wednesday, July 19th. So Saturday, I go up to Oregon for Guitar Under the Stars. You must have familiar with that thing up in Lebanon. And we rehearse with Greg Howe, and then we start at Triple Door Seattle, Aladdin Theater, down the coast, across the coast to New York. I leave the tour on the 20th, and Ernest Tibbs takes over because I've got to come home and pack and head back to Estonia for the second year of my Estonian bass Oasis. And this year we have myself and Mohini Day, Alex Stolnik, Craig Blundell, and Dan Podslansky, a blues guitar player from South Africa. And again, the way what this camp is it worked great last year, and it's a chance to give bass players a chance to go and really delve into different styles of music and play with professionals. So they're going to get to play Testament songs with Alex. I can't wait to hear it sung with an Estonian accent, by the way. And Craig Blundell, who's played with Stephen Wilson and Hackett, Alan Hackett, and just one of the best prog rock drummers there is out there. What's it like to play YYZ with him and Mohini? And then, some real blues with a badass blues player.
Nice.
Jim Harris in Texas Shuffle. Here's, start of the 5, 2, 3, 4. What does that mean? And to get up there on stage in a practice room with some of the best musicians in the world, well, the bass guests I've been to, there's, big jams and everything, but to say, here's this style of music, I'd love to have a, Latin band from Colombia, or a samba band, or, calypso band, and say, you teach the bass part, and just for practice, fun, get on stage, see what it's like, what it feels like to play with these dudes, real experience, and it's a beautiful, mellow vibe, wonderful people, and it's just, it's a bass oasis. So,
and where can people find out more about this? Where should they be looking to get information on your camp, on your tour, on the album, all of that?
I mean, the usual socials. I have a fan page, Stu Hamm, on Facebook, and then the Stu Hamm is the personal page. They're mostly the same, a little different. Then obviously Instagram, I keep up on that. That's about as the extent of my social media. But the website obviously has all those feeds and just all that else. So I'm looking forward to it. Again, I get to do lots of different kinds of music. I haven't been on the road in 3.5 years, dude. It was February 12th, 2020, when I was in Denmark, when I got the call. My daughter called me, and I was like, she never calls me, and says, well, Trump's closing the borders, and we said, okay, we got to finish the tour. It was a Stu Hamm Band tour. Yeah. It's like, hey, wake up. We're all headed to the airport. We're going home. And I've had a few fly dates. I went to Sweetwater a couple times. I've flown here and there to do some one-off gigs. But as far as playing, 27 shows in 29 days, it's been a minute. So I can't wait to play Greg's tunes, which I love. He's an incredible guitar player. Coming from a total place of melody, not just worked out really good stuff. He's just really emotional player. And to play those tunes with Joel Taylor, who him and I have just, we played so many gigs together that we're just going to add a whole dimension to that. So that's it, man. I'm happy to be alive and I'm practicing. I'm getting better. I'm working on some Arvo Part piano arrangements and my Zimmerman duets. I'm working and I'm teaching. I got a new course, for artist works out and teach privately and.
Nice. Well, Stu, it is so great, and for those of us that have pretty much everybody watching this went through the pandemic, it is always refreshing and reassuring when we see something of this creative nature come out of a bleak time in our past. And I've often compared it to, there's a specific orchid that grows only in elephant manure, and it's a beautiful orchid, but it has to come out of the manure.
It was a crazy couple of years. There was a pandemic, and then I had neck spinal, surgery. Yeah. Oh, then there's that little cancer thing, where they just took a little part of my body out, and again, thank God, it's everything is cool now. And,
good.
Man, it's just enjoy every second of your life, and so it's as I say on the record, smooth sailing ahead, into clear open waters.
There we go. And when times get rough, hold fast.
Hold fast, man.
There you go. Well, folks, thank you, Stu, for taking time to chat with us. Folks, you've seen him here, the one and only Stu Hamm.